Hello, everybody. Good morning for some of you. Good afternoon for others. Very pleased to welcome you again to this session about financing maritime innovation and infrastructure for climate and ocean. And we have a very, very good program today, as always. But as you know, this session is designed to be very interactive. So we are looking forward to have your questions so we can answer all your questions during the Q&A session. So all along the day, and also the session, don't hesitate to type your questions. We will cover them. So I'm with Marine, and we are welcoming great people, as usual, to speak about the topic of port cities and how the ports are really contributing to decarbonization of the maritime industry, working with startups. So how ports are also contributing to deploying startup innovation. And to address this very important topic, I'm very pleased to welcome on board Jean-Frédéric Laurent, President of Port de Bordeaux. Hello, Jean-Frédéric.
Hello, Geraldine. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for accepting it, by the way. I wanted also to welcome Paola Silvia, your Program Director at Port of San Diego. Hello, Paola.
Hello, thank you for letting us be here.
Thank you, Paola. And Jason Giffen, Vice President of Port of San Diego in Planning and Environment. Hello, Jason.
Hello, greetings to everybody.
And I don't need to present her, Marine from Blue Morpho. Hello, Marine.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today.
Perfect. So a bit more information about what we're doing. So as you know, we are here to address this very major topic. And to do that, we have the great opportunity to work with AIVP, the leading organization about port cities, gathering at international level more than 200 members, and also the Foundation Prince Albert II, dedicated also to protect ocean, with also a lot of international partnership. And we are Blue Morpho. Blue Morpho is a company dedicated to provide the best condition for the adoption of innovations. And by doing that, we are very focused also on raising the right financial models and money for innovative companies and for innovative programs. So we benefit from a great network, and why we're doing these actions, this initiative, is because we are very dedicated to support the decarbonization of the industry. And when we speak about decarbonization, the maritime industry is very important. It's a global challenge. But when you speak with people about the maritime industry, we don't know yet how to operate it. The challenge is that we need more solution in terms of energy sources, but not only in energy sources, but in the way we are working. So working with different players for the maritime industry, it has been clear that port cities and their ecosystems are major players to reach the net zero goal, and they will also explain how today. But it's good to have the port cities and the willingness to do it, but you need also financial opportunities. You need innovations, you need financial tools, and by bringing that all together, we are convinced that we can make a big difference. So that's why you are here also to join this journey, which is a co-construction day where we're gonna work all together to define the right financial mechanisms and collaboration mechanisms through this initiative, Financing Maritime Innovation and Infrastructure for Climate and Ocean. You all know about that already, so I don't want to enter into more details. For innovative company joining, you know that you can contact Marine to ask many questions, as you know how to do, by the way. And as I said, do not hesitate to ask questions. But since we have a lot of topic to cover, I'd love to directly jump into the topic. And actually, I'd like to ask you, Jean-Frédéric, if you could share a bit more about Bordeaux and its specific characteristics.
Thank you, Geraldine. As I only have 10 minutes, I guess if I know the program, I will go straight to the point, and I will not be too long on the Port of Bordeaux. Port of Bordeaux is a port, so I'm not going to make a very long description of our installation. We have ships, terminal, cranes, and all the kind of stuff you can find in a port, industries, people, and we are close to some big cities. So we have a role of giving these cities access to the sea. So that's the main role of the Port of Bordeaux and of main port in the world. We are quite important in the area for jobs, for value added in the territories, and we've got some high voltage electricity grid, like in most industrial area, water resources, storage, distribution facility, railroad. So everything which will count in the future of decarbonization and low carbon industry. So I'm not going to go further in the description of the Port of Bordeaux. That's not the main point of our exchange today. So we have decided with all the industrial partners of the area of Bordeaux to reach minus 93% of fossil CO2 emission by 2050. That's quite a quite strong objective, and we are going to enforce this with a cooperation between the different parties. You can see several names on this slide. But to do that, we will first need to be qualified as a place where the future post-fossil industries will be happy to invest. So we are going first to set up the conditions of be a good place for these industrial investments.
Very good, very good. And I think you have also some specificity in terms of access to CO2, but also how to use CO2.
Yes, let's do a little bit of chemistry, because I'm not a teacher, but to be very short on this presentation, whatever you do in industry, it's all about chemistry. You're talking about petrochemical industry is chemistry. You're talking about post-fossil industry, it's also chemistry. The only difference is that you use renewable resources. That's the only difference. The risks are the same, the techniques are almost the same. The investments are as big as in the petrochemical industries. The only difference is that you use renewable resources. The main renewable resources you have to use is H2 and CO2. And when you mix H2 and CO2, you can reconstruct molecules, and these molecules give some different products which can be used to decarbonize our industries, the shipping industries, and at the same time aviation. You can see it on the slide. The main output of all this chemistry is, for instance, methanol for ships. It's sustainable aviation fuels and recycled products. That's the big picture of what we want to reach in 2050, is to convert this mainly fossil-based industry into post-fossil industry using all these chemical ingredients.
Perfect, very interesting.
We have one very specific characteristic you can find in some other areas in the world, is that we have a very large piece of forest close to Bordeaux, and this forest is used in the paper industry, for instance. And when you use the forest and the biomass to produce paper, for instance, you emit biogenic CO2. And this biogenic CO2 is already compensated. That's the difference with the fossil CO2. You don't emit more CO2 using the biomass resource. So using this CO2 in replacement with the fossil CO2, you can convert it into new molecules in the post-fossil industry.
So that's really the strategy developed by Port of Bordeaux, and as you mentioned, to address the decarbonization of the maritime industry, but also the city related to it, because you're also targeting to produce that.
Exactly.
Very interesting. And so in that strategy, I guess you have some development projects. We are also very interesting to know for which one you're looking for financial supports right now. Yes,
we have many projects with all the different industrial partners we are gathering in this group. For instance, we have a CO2 piping network to build. We have a liquefaction factory to install. We have also a storage facility to install. We have a H2 production or ammonia cracking facilities to convert these molecules into post-fossil resources. And then we have all the industries related to sustainable aviation fuels and methanol refineries. And then, of course, we need green electricity production directly or through a power purchase agreement. And one key element of this industrial area is industrial water supply. And all these projects gathered make multi-billion euro investment opportunities. The problem is to find money now. And that's your main topic, Geraldine, you want to address.
Absolutely, and that's why the topic of the initiative is financing maritime innovation. Yeah. And I'm sure that on those different topics, you're looking for investment, but also you're looking for innovative technologies. We'll come back on that later because I see a lot of topic that where I think innovative company can bring also a lot of value, but we'll come back on this topic later. So, okay, you are looking for money. So what are your challenges? How you do right now? And obviously, we'll discuss how we can support you.
Yeah, where to find money? That's the main question. We know how to finance traditional industry. We know how to finance sport. We know how to finance cities, but we don't know how to finance the transition of all this ecosystem into this post-fossil and low CO2 system. We are almost strangers between financial markets and transition project. The transition project don't know for the moment how to reach the financial markets, and the financial markets are very careful about transition project at this time. So it's I find this picture to illustrate this situation with the chicken. Sorry.
You mentioned the chicken in the middle, and it's funny because we are considering ourselves in the middle, you know, trying to bridge the transition project to the financial market. So
exactly, the chicken don't know how to use a knife, and the knife has nothing to do with the chicken. So we have to find solution. We are not specialists of finance, so I'm going to explain you how we want to build something to be able to access the financial market. So to reinforce our credibility, we have to be based on a network. This network, we already have it, and we have good friends of this network with the Port of San Diego today. It's the International Association of Port Cities. So that's, to me, the right place to discuss about this good project and maybe to establish green corridors between our different ports. This could be an interesting project, and to have exchange between the different contexts we can find in these different port cities areas. That's the first step. The second step is certification. We know that to access finance, we have to be certified, and we have to make plans and to execute the plans. So certification is very important. So there is a certification which very well known in North America, which is Green Marine, with the global initiative about certification for green marine, which is now gathering more than 500 members. And we are progressing with Green Marine to certify at the same time the ship, the port, and maybe one day the whole system. But then we need to put in place some reporting. And this reporting is sometimes very heavy, very complex. So we have to use the new technologies to use the new data systems to be efficient in terms of reporting. And we have developed last year in Bordeaux digital twins. Sorry, it's in French on the slide, but we have developed the whole system to be able to reproduce on a computer what we do in reality in the port and in the city. So this is a good way to have a direct report of everything we do and of all the impact our project can have on these global ecosystems in terms of decarbonization, sustainability, and then to be able to find finance, to be certified, and to make the reporting to the financial and to the market to be to reinforce our credibility.
And because we need a lot of data to prove that what we are doing is right. And
yeah, that's a enormous mass of data. For instance, to implement the global warming scenarios in our industrial project and transition project, to see the impact of these global warming scenarios on the different elements of our industrial and port city area.
Perfect. We will come back on this topic after, because I know that this is a very important topic also for Port of Bordeaux. And I know also that you have, as you mentioned, this industrial network where you're also focusing on innovation, but we can come back on that after the discussion we have also with the Port of San Diego. Thank you very much for the introduction. And now, actually, indeed, I love to jump into the introduction of Port of San Diego. To understand also, Jason, you know, maybe make a short introduction about the port, but also your main strategy about decarbonization.
Absolutely, thank you so much. So if we are able to show just this overview, this gives you a glimpse, bird's eye view of the Port of San Diego. We've been around since 1962. Of course, port operations have existed well beyond that. We were set up as a public corporation and a regional government entity by the state of California in the United States. We've got a really diversified portfolio, as you can see: traditional visitor serving amenities, hotels, marinas, restaurants, and cruise. And we cover about 14,000 acres of, you can go to the next slide, of San Diego Bay. The interesting thing about San Diego is we're made up, our membership, of 5 cities, which are all shown on this slide. Coronado, National City, Chula Vista, and Imperial Beach each have 1 member of our 7-member board. And San Diego, which is the largest member, has 3. But geographically, we're also positioned in a very unique location in the southwestern United States. From downtown San Diego to the border, it's probably only about it's about 20 miles, and so it's a short drive or trolley ride to get down to the border, which positions us geographically as a part of the global ports network in a very strategic position in the United States and North America. So when we start looking beyond the opportunities of just traditional ports, we've really embraced being a leader in ocean innovation, and that started in the early 2000s with a focus on decarbonization with our initial climate action plan. With that initial climate action plan, we focused primarily on maritime decarbonization and reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. And we essentially looked at the multiple hats that we wear as a regulator, a landlord, an operator, and of course, an environmental champion to advance the blue economy in a transformative way. We do that essentially through public-public or public-private partnerships. When we were originally created, we were set up as a public corporation and regional government entity that had the ability to tax, but we currently do not tax. So everything that we look at comes through the lens of civic entrepreneurship, where we're looking at generating enough revenue to support the port and all the amenities and assets and livelihoods, as well as the environmental quality of San Diego Bay, because a healthy San Diego Bay leads to a thriving economy as well as thriving communities. Following the climate action plan, we transitioned to some solutions for our established network as well as some emerging businesses, which is shown by this slide. I covered briefly some of the industries that we have traditionally supported on the top, and working with them really closely, we have continued to help them innovate, deploy CapEx and other types of creative projects, as we've really focused on what we could do to reduce our footprint, carbon footprint, and be better neighbors from a greenhouse gas perspective, but there's also co-benefits where we have also reduced other air quality pollutants, because like many of the other ports that are a part of AIVP that Laurent Frederick was responding to, we're in a very urban setting, and as you can see from that opening slide. And so we not only want to focus on the cost efficiency and improvement port operations, but we want to focus on being good neighbors. And as a part of that, and Paul is going to talk about this in a minute, we have also looked at what we could do to advance our climate action platform to support emerging industries, of which some are shown on the bottom half of that slide.
Perfect.
The next one, I've just got a couple more things to share on the next slides. As a part of our decarbonization efforts, we are balancing responding to regulations and also looking at pursuing market opportunities and trends. And of course, there are many international maritime regulations, and there's many more that affect us directly in California. But the challenge with that is not always to be reactive, but we wanted to have transformative change and focus on proactive implementation. So in 2019, we began a journey to create a maritime clean air strategy that was adopted in 2021 with essentially a goal of electrifying every link in the supply chain from ship to shore. And as you can see here, whether it's hovercraft, shore power for vessels, cargo handling equipment like cranes and other operations that you heard about from the Port of Bordeaux, all the way through to advancing zero emission heavy duty trucks. And it's interesting, what we're doing at the Port of San Diego is we're leaning in to electrification, whereas when we heard from the discussion from Port of Bordeaux, there's more than one solution. There's also the renewable fuels opportunity. And different ports are taking different steps to work on that transition. Just for us, we're happy to focus on electrification first. And if the next slide just has a couple examples of some of the things we're very proud of at the Port of San Diego. We like to say we're a port of firsts, and here's just a few examples of those firsts. We were able to deploy the first all-electric tugboat, which is called the E-Wolf, which was built by Crowley, and that is a part of our fleet in San Diego that is helping move all sorts of vessels, whether it be cargo, cruise, or Navy vessels. The other two pictures there are from our 10th Avenue Marine Terminal, which is a really unique terminal. It's essentially an omni terminal. We don't move just containers, but we move bulk and break bulk, basically things that don't fit into containers, as well as refrigerated cargo. And when you look at the size of those two cranes, which are all electric, and they're actually backed up by a microgrid that's powered by solar power. So when we say it's 100% electric and renewable, it absolutely is. We don't even have diesel generators to support those two ultra heavy lift cranes that can collectively lift 400 metric tons. And in fact, the two heaviest duty ultra lift cranes on the West Coast of the United States. So we're really proud of that. And that just gives you a little bit of an idea of the things that are happening. And that complex switchboard on the right is a way for us to support redundancy as well as to provide power back to the electrical grid. We've installed a microgrid with support from our state partners in California to essentially have battery powered backup power at the 10th Avenue Marine Terminal, which is also offset by solar panels on some of the roofs, which are not in these pictures, but you can get the idea.
That's quite impressive, and I like the title, Port of Firsts. It's quite interesting to see that you started this decarbonization many years ago, actually. The question we could wonder is, how do you finance this? It's a huge transition effort, so what is your trick?
So it requires a balance of both public and private investment. In San Diego, at the Port of San Diego, we've been successful over many years applying for both federal and state funding, as well as bringing other resources to bear with to make sure we've got a more robust return on our investment. So we've been able to provide matching funds, whether it's from the port or from one of our many tenants. As you can see from this slide, we're at $227 million and counting in terms of the massive transition to support maritime decarbonization and electrification. This is not something that you can switch on like a light switch, but it takes many years of holistic, proactive, and integrated planning and a slow and methodical approach. But we encourage everybody to get started early and not wait for regulations to happen, but take advantage of market opportunities. Some of the reason we were able to bring so much money in is we were able to stay ahead of the curve, because once in the United States, once things become a regulation, it makes it really, really difficult to acquire grant funding. So like I was saying before, there's a mix between keeping pace with regulations, but also implementing really unique, new and expanded partnerships and collaborations to bring these new technologies to bear. And we're also not hesitant to try things. Most of these happened for the first time through a pilot. So the E-Wolf, which is the electric tugboat and hovercraft, that was essentially set up as a pilot, and with the goal that when that's successful, that we can scale and deploy, and through proof of concept, not just have these solutions in San Diego, but they can be exported to other ports, whether it's through AIVP or the Green Marine Network and some of the other items that were described earlier.
And thank you so much, Jason, because you make it very clear. You need to be upfront. You're looking also to, you have some financial support because you're also preparing something new. And I think that when you're working on such infrastructure, it's so important to pave the way to the future and already integrate innovative solutions. So that's quite interesting. And actually, we know all that Port of San Diego is quite known for its incubation program. So actually, we want to know more, because I know we have a lot of startups connected also today, and they love to know, what has been your motivation, and especially how you work with startups. So very interesting also to know from you, Paola, on this.
Mm-hmm. Sounds great. Well, thank you. Jason really explained the bigger port mission. I mean, we're not, and I'm going to talk about our Blue Economy Incubator, which is just one small piece of innovation for different new and emerging businesses that we're supporting. So the port, our board of port commissioners nearly 10 years ago created the Aquaculture and Blue Technology program at the Port of San Diego to look at and explore environmental and economic opportunities in both of those spaces. And then underneath that program, they created what we call a Blue Economy Incubator, which is allows the port to partner with early stage companies in the aquaculture and blue economy and blue tech space, and with a core value proposition of facilitating pilot projects. So it's also a vehicle for the port to provide investment in companies, while at the same time, designing a mutually beneficial pilot project that, somehow solves a unique environmental challenge at the port or otherwise informs, a new blue economy opportunity. And our team works with, companies that apply to our incubator, which is open on a rolling basis, to look at your technology, see if we can design a mutually beneficial pilot project, which we can then go and deploy in our port environment and make a strong case study for commercialization for your for a company's technology post-pilot. So we essentially de-risk technologies for later stage companies and to allow them to sort of test their technology and be ready for their first stages of investment post-pilot project. And really the goal of the program and why it was created by our board was to look at, different ways of diversifying the port's portfolio of sustainable business lines. So it's been around for 10 years. The next slide, we just give a showcase of a few of the companies in our portfolio, but we're not specifically targeting any type of technology. We started the program 10 years ago and kept the application process open on a rolling basis. So we essentially opened the application process, but have never closed it. And the only criteria to meet an application is to, your technology has to have some nexus to our port. And it's really hard to not have a nexus to our port. I mean, we've got many different, roles and responsibilities, and we're very diverse, as Jason was explaining. But the buckets that our companies are naturally falling into are ocean data and some technology. We do have aquaculture projects and also several projects that would qualify for nature-based solutions or otherwise climate resiliency projects. We've got 11 projects in our portfolio to date, and we just brought our 11th company in called Marine Labs from British Columbia last 2 weeks ago. And the other important thing is we don't have over almost 50% of the companies in our portfolio are not from the United States. So there are no requirements to be from the United States to enter into our system. But we see that as a big value add as well, to be able to offer opportunity in the United States markets, but also to any companies to have access to our global network and facilitation services.
You mentioned actually, Paola, that company can apply anytime and enter a discussion with you, but you have some specific topic of interest, or what is more important to you right now in collaboration with startups? Do you have any advices also for company to come to you?
So we kept it open on purpose to be inviting of any technologies that could support improving our environment at the port or other coastal resiliency initiatives. So we're not very specific, but we do, as I said, we gravitate towards, there's environmental remediation, soil and water remediation technologies that are helping improve some legacy pollution that the port has experienced. As examples, we have, the e-concrete project is a project that, basically looked at, creating biodiversity and habitat on our shorelines while protecting and maintaining the structural integrity of our hardened shorelines. So, and aquaculture is a big interest for us. We have very successful pilot projects, but we're the other side of the house, and the department that I manage is looking at long-term planning to support shellfish and seaweed aquaculture at scale. So there's a lot of potential, as we know, for aquaculture to expand globally and for innovation to come in and really help improve and make aquaculture processes more efficient. And then, of course, ocean data is a big bucket, maritime domain awareness, and of course, anything in the maritime decarb space.
Very interesting. And actually, I know you have prepared this slide saying thank you, but actually, I think for the entrepreneurs, I think we want to thank you as well, because what you're doing is really de-risking the innovation, which is a major step. When you want to bring something on the market, you need to demonstrate and pilot. So I think that a lot of companies here are looking for that. So I think that in this slide, you're also working with a lot of different partners. I think the ecosystem is also important for you, right?
Very much so. We couldn't do any of our work without partners. And this is just a snapshot. We have, many different partners, and we value our partnerships across the national and international ecosystem.
Very good. I think this, when speaking with a lot of startups here and at Blue Morpho, and this piloting and demonstration is in the key. So I think you're going to have a lot of questions and a strong interest to collaborate with you. So thank you so much. And I know also that Port of Bordeaux, you also have a collaboration model with startups. But just sorry to go back also to Paola on this. Maybe you can just mention also the way. So you are investing into demonstration with the startups. Maybe we can just elaborate a bit more on this to take two minutes and then go back to Port of Bordeaux, because I think the model is a bit different.
Yes, thank you for that, Jolene. So yes, we provide investment. Our range of investment to date has been between $100,000 and $400,000 US into companies to support their pilots. The pilots are generally 1 to 5 year pilot projects, depending on what the technology is and what the company needs. And our business model is a little bit different because we're a public agency. We're not allowed to take equity in companies. So our investment, it comes with, instead of equity, it comes with our traditional business model with our tenants at the port is collecting revenue share off of gross revenues. So we take a small percentage of revenue share off of the gross revenues of a company. So if the company is successful, then we'll be successful. And we have a standard term and negotiations for that. So it's a little bit different than most other JVs or other types of models to support, startups.
Very interesting. Actually, I think for startup it's very important also because capital has a cost when you take some early stage investors. That has also a strong cost for them. Thank you so much, Paola, and thank you, Jason. And we'll come back to the different questions. So Jean-Frédéric, I'm going back to you. How does the Port of Bordeaux collaborate with startups on your side?
Yes, thank you very much, and thank you, Paola, for this very inspiring presentation, because our initiative on innovation is much smaller in Port of Bordeaux and very recent, because we're only at the second generation of startups welcome in our incubator, so it's quite recent, but it's at the forefront of our industrial transition project, because we all know that the port are not the best innovative structure in the world. Because of your status of our job, it's not our mission to use innovation okay, but not to be really innovative. So we do need, and that's the reason why I find the San Diego presentation very inspiring, because they have taken this way 10 years ago. For that, I thank you for that and applaud you for that. We started in this way 3 years ago, creating a structure with is called Bordeaux Technoports. And the way it works is that we have decided to give the startup we select to be welcome in our incubators to use the port industrial area as a playground. And all the startups, they have to contract with either the port or an industrial company, for instance, to install a demonstrator or for a proof of concept or whatever, and what is the stage of scale of the startup. So this is the playground. This is very connected to our ecological transition of our industrial area. So we are only at the beginning. We have at this time several startups working on various topics. We are not limitative of the topics which are open to be welcome in our system. And one difference maybe with San Diego is that this is an incubator which is connected to the global startup system of the Bordeaux Metropole. It's one of the incubators dedicated to the port industry economy. And in this global network, they have created a fund. So we have decided at the same time to invest in these funds and to participate to a very small part to the funding of the startups through this innovation fund, which has been set up to serve the startup which will be installed in all these specialized innovation spots. For instance, green tech, building, energy, wine tech in Bordeaux. It's quite obvious because Bordeaux is very well known for its wine. So there is also wine tech, and one which is specialized in the port industry area, which is called Technoport, which you can see on the picture. Is the incubator of the Port of Bordeaux. And we are quite proud because one of our startups has been rewarded at Las Vegas this year at the CES. So we're quite proud of that. Thank you very much.
So what are your objectives? So you mentioned also, I think you've covered a bit on that, but what are your main objectives also through that? And you mentioned already how you're working with company, but maybe we can summarize that quickly.
Well, the main objective is to keep some kind of leadership in the innovation and in the transition process. If we don't keep an eye on what's going on in the innovation process, we just stay behind all this global movement. So that's the reason why, and I guess that the Port of San Diego is almost the same logic. We have to use this boiling area of startup to keep an eye on this innovation process which is very important to make a good choice for us in terms of decarbonization, for instance.
And if I may, I think the case here of the port city is very interesting also, because as you mentioned, you need to enter into this decarbonization. We need a lot of financing, like public-private financing, and startups are offering key solutions also to achieve the goal. So it's really the good combination of innovation, industrial landscape, and competencies at port level, plus also financial players that will find the right project to support. So this
exactly,
is,
you're right. That's a whole transformation project.
Which is exactly the point that we're going to discuss during the gathering in Monaco, where we're going to bring a lot of people from the financial world who want to know more, and where we want also to showcase innovative company. And I strongly believe that the fact that ports are collaborating with this innovative company, as you mentioned, Paola, is de-risking, so it's very important. That's quite interesting. So that's a summary, of course, of how you're working, I guess, at Port of Bordeaux with companies, right? The different level of maturities and that you are interested in.
So I'm not going to comment the slides. I've already said most
exactly.
of what I wanted to say.
It's interesting to know that you have more than 500 startups supported already, which is good.
Yeah, in the whole system, not in the Port of Bordeaux. Yeah.
In the whole system. And question for you, Paola, in San Diego, how many companies have you, supported? I guess a lot you have collaborated with, but in total, since you have started the incubation, do you have a number of startups just by
yeah, we have 11 startups in our portfolio, and we've invested just a bit over $2 billion across those startups. We did not do any investing during or post-COVID. So even though we've been now open for 10 years, we didn't do investment during those time periods. And we just, coming out of COVID, we just brought on 2 more companies since in the last year and a half or so. So
that's quite interesting. So thank you. And actually, I'm going to give the floor to Marine also when our participants are writing their questions so we can address them. Marine, you can also maybe explain what we're expecting and what people could expect from Monaco 6 June.
Yes, of course. So we're really looking forward to welcome you in Monaco on June 6th. As you know, this will be hosted at the Monaco Yacht Club, which is perfect for this kind of conversation with a view on the sea. So it's always good to be inspired. You will find, of course, some inspiring panels and keynotes with some of the big speakers who are here today, actually. You will also have the opportunity to participate in one-to-one meeting that we will curate with you in advance to exchange with the participating ports, investors, and other type of players you would be interested to meet with. You will also have the opportunity to join in exclusive workshops that are targeted to your topic of interest, and you will have the opportunity to introduce your solution and your work in this context. And finally, you will also be able to join into the Blue Economy and Finance Forum organized by our partners from the Foundation Prince Albert II of Monaco. So just in a few words, we believe that it would be really interesting to have your solution introduced in this context.
And if I may add on what Marine is saying, is that we are discussing with a lot of players, corporates, from at the ship level, at the energy level, construction company as well, investors, financial players. And the good message is that they are all very interested to engage more with startup company. But I think, as I was mentioning, the fact that ports are already working with startup company is very important to them, because a lot of people don't know about the maritime industry when you're coming from the financial world. So we need to do not a bit of education, but more connections, so we can build this collaboration. And this is what we are aiming at actually with this initiative. And that's why we're also working with AIBP, obviously. So now, are you ready to take all the questions? Because we have questions, so now it's going to be the tricky part for you. So I'm going to start asking the question, and I guess you can all answer depending on what you want to answer. So we have a first question from Sharia. So thank you for the great comments on the webinar, by the way. So Sharia is as a startups activated in distributed generation of hydropower from water stream. using their innovative microturbines. And they like to know if they could collaborate with one of you to demonstrate their unique product and find also a reliable partner or investors to support them to promote and commercialize their products. So again, this is distributed generation of hydropower from water stream. Could it be of interest for your
maybe I can answer this question. I don't know where this startup is located. I don't know if it's in Europe or somewhere else, but we already have a place where all the startups wanting to test their hydropower technology is already available in the river of Garonne, close to the port of Bordeaux. We have a place dedicated to that, so we will be very happy to get in touch with this startup to see if they want to come to Bordeaux.
Very good. On your side, Jason and Paola, any additional comment on this?
I might just say that we're open to engaging with everybody. We are really looking at the marketplace to bring the products and services. In the past, we have looked at small scale renewable operations. We've had some micro turbines that have been used to power small weather sensors and things like that. Those several years ago, and actually it was not even a part of the incubator program. It was something that because before the incubator, we used to look at research and development from a grant funding standpoint, which really didn't have the kind of the longevity that was needed, that startups needed to be able to deploy practical solutions that then could be potentially scaled. Paula mentioned we have 11 companies in the incubator portfolio currently. We don't have any that are focused specifically on renewables. That market in California is pretty mature, so there's a lot of competition. But of course, we'd be happy to talk to anyone who would be interested in potentially piloting and testing a real world solution at the port. It just has to be a good match for us and a good match for them.
Very good. I'm going to ask a question, so get ready. Paola, you wanted to add something?
I would just add, I know that we had a QR code in one of our slides, but it's really easy to find us. If you just Google the Port of San Diego's Blue Economy Incubator, it takes you to our page. It explains the application process, and there's an actual incubator specific email that you can, get in touch with us and we can take a call and get started.
Good, very good. We have another question also related to water, which I think is very interesting as well, because it's becoming the new gold, and it will become the new gold in the years to come. So we have this question from Ruben asking if there is any need for stormwater management or treatment or freshwater demand based on rainwater reuse. So I guess that you're open to any technology, obviously, but maybe to react on this topic.
Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
So I think it depends on the scale. So San Diego is located in essentially an urban coastal desert. We have a large population. We don't have a huge abundance of local water supplies. So we're focused on conservation and making sure we have each drop of water go as far as it can. That being said, I think it would have to be connected to scale and volume and and that specific application and what the reuse would be for. If it's used, for example, for capture and reuse for landscaping is one thing, but if it's going to be used as with a local water company, because we don't provide water service, we would have to look at what are the treatments and the conditions that it would need to be implemented. But like the other example, we would of course be open to have any introductory conversations about this. We have done some work with stormwater connected to stormwater testing to making sure that we're managing any runoff that may pick up contaminants in the most efficient way.
Very good. We are receiving a lot of questions, so I will go through them. Another question about Earth observation. So the question is, have any of the ports invested in or consume Earth observation services? And do you consider there is some benefits from Earth observation data? I know that maybe Jean-Frédéric, you want to answer that.
Yes, we are not doing it directly. We are buying services from well-known providers of Earth observation data. We are not doing it directly at the port because we are too small, I mean, to enforce this directly. Yeah.
If I may add on my side, I think that Earth observation will be key in the years to come. And just to make the link with the financial part, that's definitely something that we are working on also through this ecosystem approach, because we need to provide with relevant data for sustainable finance. So we need to prove that whatever we do, it's good for the planet. And now with Earth observation, we can have also a lot of information about the impact on the ocean, on the biodiversity.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. Obviously, we have also a lot of collaboration and discussion on this topic to address especially the topic of port cities. I don't know if Paula and Jason, you want to add on this?
I can add, the two companies that are our newest companies in our portfolio are ocean data collecting companies. One of them, actually their core technology is a sonobuoy that collects Earth observation information for the Department of Defense. But the technology they're working on with us is using a sensor agnostic buoy platform to measure environmental data in and around our port. So underwater data, environmental data, underwater noise, things like that. And the second company is going to be using their sensor unit on above the water buoys to measure wind and waves and wakes to help with some climate resiliency data, but also maritime domain awareness. So identifying wakes and excuse me, for security reasons. So there's a lot, and all of that information will be coming in real time and support, you know, the management decisions that the port makes. So, and then there's a lot of funding in the United States through different accelerator programs that there are NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, granted a few regions. One of them, the regions is in San Diego with us as partners, but it's driven by Scripps Institute of Oceanography. That is all in an ocean resilience accelerator focused on ocean data.
And that's very nice for you to say, actually, because we have one company, I think, doing quite the same, maybe close, obviously not the same, but they have some smart sensors they call it smart oceans sensors, where they can collect turbidity, salinity, CO2, hydrophone, also to, you know, so I think that might be interesting also to see the comparison and to see if it might be complementary, by the way.
For sure.
Do you have waste heat available to capture or reduce your CO2 footprint? Question from François.
I'm not sure to understand the question, sorry.
So do you have waste heat available to capture or reduce your CO2 footprints? So maybe François, you want to rephrase, and I will retake it again. But or if maybe Jason, or if Paula, you have a point on this.
Yeah, I could offer. So we didn't mention this directly, but the Port of San Diego, we have about over 800 tenants that also run operations at the Port of San Diego. Some of those are industrial maritime tenants, which also have processes that generate energy, and they do have quite a lot of heat-related waste. So it's something that we take more of a landlord position on, and we don't, for the operations we focus on, we don't have as direct of a relationship with that, but there are many tenants at ports, not just in San Diego, that are involved in different industrial processes who are looking at innovative approaches. So I would just say to the commenter, ports can be the connective tissue and help you meet those other organizations and businesses, but oftentimes unless they're connected to an energy provider or they have a utility, an energy utility or something like that at the port that they also have the authority and governance to run. Most of it would be run by the private side.
Yeah, definitely. So yes, we are really speaking about fatal hit, by the way, just for you to clarify. That's also a very important topic, because this is also circularity, and definitely something to consider in the, especially when we're going to start to have more data center. And I think that data center will be also important in ports in the years to come. So it could be interesting. I'm going to take one more question, and then I'm going to ask you also additional questions for you. So we have a question to know if Port of Bordeaux or Port of San Diego are looking into hydrogen fuel cells for onshore power, for example, and if this is something that you could consider for collaboration. So hydrogen fuel cells for onshore power.
Well, maybe, do you want to go, would you like to go first? Because you have the chemistry,
Yeah, we are definitely working on that, because we have just set up a factory to produce fuel cells. So, but not only for shore power generation, for all kind of energy providing devices, even to replace engines and whatever, which is now using diesel to produce energy. So it's not directly related to shore power, because we have enough electricity not to be in a position to have the need to go through an H2. Oh, sorry, there is something. Okay, we don't need these systems to provide shore power. We directly have electricity available, so we don't need any fuel cells to do that. So the fuel cells question is not for us related to shore power.
Interesting. So I'm asking the question to the participants if they want to receive more information about this initiative that we are running. And so please answer so we can also follow up with you. But I wanted to ask you a question to both of you, the two ports. So when we speak about ports, most of the time it's local activities. So it might be the case that some companies are very interesting for your specific challenge at local level. But are you also collaborating together, meaning that they might have some companies from Port of San Diego that could also maybe scale in Port of Bordeaux and vice versa? Is it something that you are looking to develop?
I'll let you go. I can't see you, Jason, but I'll let you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some things that we're starting with, and it's interesting, we're looking at opportunities at other essentially medium-sized ports. We're essentially more of a medium-sized port, and we're looking at how we can run dual pilots where we're deploying with startups, new products and services that might be able to be tested, for example, in San Diego. For example, on the West Coast, we're doing that with companies in British Columbia, who are also the recent one Paula mentioned, which is Marine Labs, which is also testing their equipment in San Diego. We can translate that model, not just for startups and emerging businesses, but we may be able to do that also with other companies who are already tenants of the port and who may have opportunities and are doing work with sister ports, whether it's in the Pacific or further. So as a part of the global network, we're always looking to have knowledge transfer and sharing ideas, whether it's in theory or whether it's in actual practice. You're seeing some of the biggest movers, at least on the West Coast of the United States, focus on things like green shipping, and you're seeing partnerships between Asia and some of the large California ports like Port of Los Angeles.
That's very interesting, and actually that's also the goal of this gathering that you're organizing, is also to connect the different ports together and also to offer the ability for companies to scale at global level, leveraging their local partners, because as you have seen on the slide today, there is also industrial park and a lot of industrial activity around the port. So it's definitely very interesting for innovative companies to benefit from that. So I'm asking right now the question of if you would like to receive more information on Port of Bordeaux and Port of San Diego. So don't hesitate to answer, but we also follow up with all of you. And I think we're going to have now to conclude because we're running on the one hour. So we had some example of company, but we will share that with all of you. That's the different companies supported by Port of Bordeaux, for example. But if it's okay, we will come back to that by sharing it with you. And I would just wanted also to invite you to join us next week because we spoke a lot about the financials challenge. And next week, we're going to have also Tisha Maharaj from Republic Bank, who's going to explain to us why investment in port cities and innovation landscape is very interesting, especially for a bank located in Caribbean who has also faced the climate change and knows that it's very important to drive sustainability. So don't hesitate to join us also next week and ask many questions. And this is also for you, Paola, Jason, and Jean-Frédéric. So we have been 1 hour together and has been fantastic time. So thank you so much for joining us today. It was a great pleasure, and thank you so much for this very interesting discussion. So I'd like to thank you, Jean-Frédéric. Thank you, Paola. Thank you, Marine, and thank you, Jason. And so what I can suggest now is that we see all together soon. Thank you very much.
See you in Monaco. Thank you very much, Geraldine. Bye-bye, Paula. Bye-bye, Jason.
We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
See you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye, everyone.